So it's definitely something you want to consider because your wedding photography only get done once.
Photography styles is something that couples really don't look into, and sometimes it's pushed off to the side, but it's something that will be part of your wedding day. When you're looking for a photographer, when you're looking through their work, find something that you can connect with.
Hi, and welcome to the Hawaii Wedding Podcast by HNL Studios. My name is Keshia, and I'm your host for today. In today's episode, we talk about wedding photography, and we've invited Charles and JJ, the lead photographers of HNL Studios, to talk about how to plan for your wedding, what photography styles are out there, how to choose the best photographer for you. I don't want to waste any more of your time. I'm sure you would benefit a lot from the insight and the information that we share with you on today's episode. So let's get started. Thank you, Charles and JJ, for joining us today. We're excited to learn more, and I do want to start off just by asking you, can you tell us about yourself and how you got into wedding photography?
Sure. Hi, my name is Charles. You might have seen me on an episode or two before. But yeah, my name is Charles, and I am married with two kids. I'm originally from the island of Molokai, born and raised. Moved to Maui for high school, and then eventually moved to Honolulu for college. Um, I retired from the military 20 years, and I've been shooting photography for, I want to say, about 9 years now. 9 years. So that's been quite a while. And how I got into wedding photography is I've always wanted to shoot photography. You know, it's always been a fun thing to do for me. I would often play with cameras whenever I had I could get my hands on them. And our business for HNL Studios actually started as a photo booth company, and so we started doing a lot of events. A lot of weddings started to book us, reserve our services, and a few of us on our team were like, we could do wedding photography too. Like, we were kind of like watching the photographers shoot, and I'm like, we could do this. And so we started to learn more about wedding photography, and just having to be able to offer more services to our clients to be able to serve them better. It just made sense. And so we shot our first wedding with some friends who needed a wedding photographer, and we just kind of kept shooting after that.
You mentioned 9 years of photography experience. Was that all like wedding photography, or did you get into like different kinds?
I was just a hobbyist. I would literally, bring my camera to dinners. I would bring my camera to like kaka'ako and like shoot bugs and shoot flowers and stuff. Like, I was that guy, with a camera. I would shoot events, just, eat the street type of thing. And, it's really, really for fun. I didn't think it was, being a professional photographer was a thing. I was in the military, and I did IT, and I studied, went to college, graduated, and just never really thought about it. But, I definitely couldn't imagine my life without it.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that with us. How about you, JJ? Can you tell us about yourself and how you got into this to wedding photography?
Yeah, sure, Keisha. Thanks for having me, first of all. And so, well, a little bit about myself. I am going to college at the University of Hawaii, West Oahu. I am currently doing my marketing degree. This will actually be my second college degree. My first college degree was in creative media. And so the reason why I did creative media the first time around was because I really like doing creative stuff. I like doing artsy stuff, which is why I'm photographing a lot and I'm doing all this wedding photography. I actually started doing photography when I was 15, 16 years old. I'm 25 right now. So almost 10 years. So it's been a long, long time. And, I can't see myself not doing photography, not doing something creative. And, transitioning into the marketing, I just thought that, I can probably do my own business as well and just getting into the industry and, just working more with other photographers around Hawaii, and it's really, really fun. The whole reason why I got into wedding photography is through a friend, and like what Charles mentioned, HNL Studios was first a photo booth company, and this friend was working for Charles, and she kind of just recommended me, and I just started meeting up with Charles, and he kind of just mentored me through everything because beforehand I knew nothing about wedding photography. I was kind of terrified because that was kind of the realm that I didn't want to walk into. More so, I was just doing photography for my friends and family and just working for like other small local businesses if they needed photography work. But, with the help of Charles, I got into it and I just love it. And, I'm growing more each and every day, and I really, really like it.
That's amazing. Can you tell me a little bit more? You mentioned being terrified. I thought like, yeah, I think I remembered one time when you first started shooting with us. I think, yeah. But how has it been, I guess, growing from that area, like knowing nothing about wedding photography and then being where you are now?
Well, yeah, just the thought of me just going into the industry, the reason quote unquote terrified is because you're basically, photographing someone's special day. And, it's a lot to do. It's a lot to like, that's a lot of responsibility. And me as a photographer, me as an artist, a creative, I don't want to let anyone down when it comes to that. But it's something that I want to challenge myself. And, as a photographer, as a creative, I just want to keep growing. So I just have to take my mindset out of that terrified state. It went past it, and here I am today.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you. And I guess in relation to the question that the first question, I do want to ask. I'll go with JJ first here. But why do you enjoy shooting wedding photography? Because you mentioned starting off terrified, and now you can't imagine being without it. What made you really just enjoy doing this?
So, what made me really like wedding photography relates back to when I first started doing photography. I really like photojournalism. And it's more so when you're doing photojournalism, you're capturing things in the moment. You're getting those raw, authentic moments from anything, from just being out in the streets, or if you're at a birthday party, if you're even at home having dinner with your family. That I really like that type of style of photography. So going into wedding photography, it's very, very similar to that. You get those raw moments, you get those fun moments where, a bride could be just feeding their husband, and in 1 minute it's like a really cute putting the cake into his mouth, and they're just like smothering the cake all over their face. That's moments that I really like capturing. And it's something that I am the person that will be capturing this, and they will be looking back at it forever, and it's just something that you can just give that to someone, and photojournalism is something that you can look into newspapers and it will live on forever. And for these clients and for these couples, that's the same thing too.
How about you, Charles? Getting into this industry, what made you stick and what made you actually enjoy photographing weddings?
I enjoy wedding photography because it's you that actually creates the images, and I can kind of talk about that a little bit. But at a wedding, there's really nobody else that can do what you do, providing these once in a lifetime moments, like a bride with their mom, or their groom with their dad. The first kiss, unique portraits, and these are things that are very special and unique, and they only grow in value over time. I feel like being a wedding photographer is a solid investment into somebody's life, that they'll only see when they can really like see it, when it's their kids, and their kids see their photos, or when we are able to capture photography of someone's grandparents that passed away, and it's really the only professional photos that they've had of their loved ones, that they have left. And so it's very much a big thing for us to be able to capture those moments. And also why for HNL Studios, many of our collections do include wedding albums and wall art. We do believe in the power of photography, that it can help you actually relive many of those moments that you've had in your life. And because the albums are included with many of our collections, it almost makes it extremely easy for our couples and our clients to be able to see their photography, physical in their hand, and be able to pass it down to their kids. So for me, that's why I enjoy wedding photography.
When starting the wedding planning process, there are a lot of different things that couples have to think about, and sometimes, photography can be a bit an intimidating thing for them to look into because it can be overwhelming. But what are some things that you think couples should do before they start contacting wedding photographers?
I guess some things that are important to consider before contacting photographers. I know contacting photographers can be kind of exciting. I know sometimes you've been following photographers or filmmakers or videographers for a while, and you kind of enjoy their work, and just that, oh, if I ever get married, I'll definitely want to try and check in with them, and which is important. Kind of knowing what kind of photographer and videographer you'd like to have. But definitely some important things to consider beforehand is to talk with your fiance and to kind of see about um what the overall vision of your wedding looks like, and also like what your budget looks like. I know budget is not a fun word at all to talk about, um, especially when planning something like your wedding. However, it does kind of give you a place to kind of start and to see what you're working with. And should you feel your budget is not as big as you originally thought, it'll give you options to see where else I can get funds from. Can I take some extra time at work, or can I kind of check into some family members that might be able to assist with wedding planning? And just knowing overall what your spend might be for your wedding is super important. And it'll give you kind of like a way to see where you're at. Also, another important thing to consider as well, strongly before checking into photographers, is your venue and your wedding date. Typically, you kind of have an idea of when your wedding date is when you actually reserve your venue. So definitely having a solid venue in mind, or maybe like a deposit on your venue, would be very, very beneficial, so that you can actually have a solid date on when your wedding will happen. And therefore, when you start to talk to your photographers and florists and videographers, you'll be able to have meaningful conversations about their availability. The worst thing is liking a photographer, videographer, and all of a sudden they're not available at all on the date that you actually ended up choosing, because you didn't have a venue in mind yet. So just having these things kind of situated or lined up, or at least having an idea of what it is that you're planning, will help before going into checking into photographers.
I guess in relation to that, a lot of couples, for example, say a couple already have their wedding venue and their wedding date reserved. How early should they get in touch with the photographer? Is there such a thing as too early, or is there such a thing as, I don't know, too late?
Right, right. That's a great question. And if you do have your wedding date a little more solidified and your venue possibly reserved, I feel like it's never too early, whether it's a year or 2 or 3 out. What happens is when you look into getting a photographer, you have the ability to reserve them for your wedding, because wedding dates do fill up quickly, especially if the photographer or videographer is very popular, busy, or very unique. It's important that you're able to reserve them once you know that you really want them for your wedding. So the sooner you can actually reserve them and kind of just lock them in for your wedding date, the better. There's definitely nothing wrong with planning early and checking into that once you have a wedding date.
To help couples a little bit more as they do their research and as they look at photographers, can you elaborate more about photography styles and how couples can decide what style they like? Because they see things, but they can't really, easily describe what it is or what they see quite accurately as a photographer would?
Sure. So when it comes to choosing a photographer, it is very important to know what style they shoot. And I know you might be thinking, okay, like what does that mean? Like how do I know what style this person shoots, right? And so I'm hoping to kind of give some vocabulary to help you just kind of process and put a name to a style when you see it. Just so you can say that, oh, I think I am a natural color photographer, or I actually like bright and airy, etc., etc. So I guess there's four main styles of wedding photography as far as the look and color. I can talk about bright and airy, which is a little common in wedding photography. Bright and airy are typically tend to be on the brighter side. They look, very sunny and clean white. It's kind of like a popular style for weddings over the last maybe like 8 to 10 years or so. But they are noticeable because of their slightly over brightness, and also the clean muted colors and the whites. And these are great if you enjoy very happy images. They feel like they have a lot of energy to them. However, it is a niche style, and it might not be ideal for those couples who really want images that might be a little more timeless, meaning that they might not like the blind and airy style, 5, 10, 15 years from now. So it's definitely something you want to consider, because your wedding photography only get done once. And so you just want to make sure looking forward that if this is the style that I will actually really want, moving forward, 10, 15, 20 years from now, and what our children will see. So that was bright and airy. The second style that I'm going to talk about as far as color is dark and moody. And so we kind of see these a lot on like Instagram and Pinterest. And dark and moody is like a very creative artistic style that definitely feels more on the darker side. It feels very kind of more fall foresty. So it's very creative, very emotional, and it has notable tones of browns and greens. And so if this is a style that you want to have for your wedding photography, definitely look for photographers that shoot this style. I have a few friends that do shoot this style, and it has a very emotional vibe to it. It's great for like very intimate weddings, I feel, when you're in like a unique location, where it's very more intimate, less people. Just do be aware that, again, you want to think about what your photography will look like 15, 20 years from now, and if you'll like this style. Also, dark and moody tends to not lend itself well when the moments are more lively or happier. Okay, so for example, like if you're cheering when you're walking down the ceremony, like you just got married and you do some cheers, like that type of moment is very happy and energetic, celebratory, and a dark and moody vibe wouldn't really fit. It'll kind of, so just be aware that if you feel that you'll have a lot more happier images versus more intimate styles, then you may want to not consider a dark and moody style. And I definitely recommend you look at them on Google or Pinterest or wherever you find your photography, to kind of see if this is something you want to do. The third popular style is more natural colors. And natural colors are pretty much what it sounds like. It's where the colors are more true to life and not so creatively changed. So for the most part, these are similar colors to what you'd get from like a nice iPhone or a Galaxy phone, where the greens are greens, the blacks are blacks, the blues are blues. It's kind of definitely a standard color style, and it's great. It's been a little popular because of how universal they are, and they're not trendy where you won't feel they're strange after 5, 10 years, because the colors are natural. However, choosing this natural style may not be so creative, meaning that it'll be it'll be a little more difficult for you to get more creative images, if that makes sense. And then the last style that I'm going to talk about for wedding photography is more of a filmic slash classic style of photography. So this filmic style is it takes its inspiration from actual film photography, like using Kodak or Pentax film stock, and you can tell the filmic style when it looks a little more timeless, lack of a better word. It looks more classic. It has colors that are more rich and more stylized. The blues are a bit bluer sometimes, or the oranges are a bit more orange. And also the colors of the hair, like black tones and white tones, are slightly more creatively chosen. And so this is a great style because it's still very much on the natural side, for people who want colors that are a little more accurate, but still very creative. Also because of its timeless type of feel, they'll look great for, looking at photography 10, 15, 20 years from now, because that's kind of what like photography looked like 10, 20 years ago. um, Having that style, and it's still very creative, and it gives your photos a unique look, but still very pleasing and acceptable, many years from now. And for us, we actually shoot in this filmic style of colors. For us, we want our photography to feel just as good as you saw them today, 20, 30 years from now. And we just try to stray away from too many trending styles, just because we do care about how you feel about them years down the road. And so, just to kind of cap it up, I know I kind of spoke a lot, but ideally, you do want to see, where you kind of fall in those four styles that I talked about. And again, I recommend you jump on, Google, Instagram, to kind of see what styles speak to you and what you would actually like to have. And then once you kind of identify your style, like let's say I really like the filmic style, I really like, dark and moody, then I'll only look at those photographers that produce them, because and what they show on their portfolio, because typically what they show on their portfolio is what they're best at and what they'll provide to you. So it'll be tough when you like the dark and moody style, but you actually chose a bright and airy photographer. So it's going to be a mixed match, and the product may not be as great as somebody who does dark and moody all the time. Or same with us, we're very much more on the filmic slash natural side, and so it'll difficult for us to be very, dark and moody. It's just not our forte, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty clear. Because I was actually gonna get to that question, like, what if we go, for example, a couple goes with a different photographer, but they want them to do a different style? Is that something that can be done? But
Yeah,
you kind of just mentioned that it's going to be a bit more difficult.
it can be done. And if you really want to work with a photographer, but you really do prefer a certain style, I would actually ask them to show some examples of this
Yeah.
style, that they like, actually ask them to create, like, if they're saying they like, for us, if somebody would ask us for dark and moody images, have I would ask them for dark and moody images, can you please show me some examples, and then see if those images actually work, because sometimes people ask us that, can you do a bright and airy style, this is kind of what I want. And then we'll actually show some images, and that in that style. And so anything's possible, but typically photographers have a particular color style that they're best at. And it's important that when you work with somebody, especially in photography, where there's so many different types of, creativity and choices involved, that you really do find somebody that does well with the style that you like.
How about you, JJ? What are your thoughts on this? Like, especially like the styles and how couples can be helped in deciding what style they prefer.
Yeah, well, Charles pretty much went over like every single photography style in great detail. What I would say, how couples can see what they like and what style they should go for. Typically, from my experience, I would just say, do your research. Go on Google, put down wedding photography styles, go on Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, even, and just see what types of photography styles are out there and see what would match you guys as a couple. And, I would say, what is your personality? What is something that you wear every day? What is something that you are known for as a couple? Take all of those elements, take all of those little things, even what your theme is for your wedding, what is your dress code for your wedding. That thing, all of those matter. And you can apply that to what type of photography style that you want to do. Uh, make mood boards, do anything that you can to get inspiration off of that. Your photographer will be that person that will execute those photos for you. But in the end, when you're talking to all these photographers, when you're looking at all these different styles, you are the ones that you're giving that mood board to. And you're having all of these ideas. This is your wedding. So do your research. That is so important. Invest your time in it. Invest whatever money, what's in your budget. I think this is so important. So yeah, photography styles is something that couples really don't look into, and sometimes it's pushed off to the side, but it's something that will be part of your wedding day. You won't even see that because most of the times, photographers will be incognito. But once you receive those photos, that is when you will see the final product, and it will last forever. Like what Charles says, it will last for years to come.
I actually especially liked what you said about, like looking at your overall theme and seeing how that kind of marries into the style of photography that you want, because it kind of also gives couples an idea that they also have this opportunity to kind of make it their own and kind of make it a collaboration with the photographer as well. Do you guys, I guess in this topic, do you guys still have any other thoughts you want to share? Any other input you might want to add?
I can talk a little bit more about this part. Another thing to consider as well is the actual photography composition that photographers take. I know people often, couples, they want moments captured, and they want that journalistic feel of like candid moments. We get that question a lot, like, can are you good with candid photography? And I want to say yes, like definitely we are, candid photographers, or the just journalistic style of photography. And I want to say most photographers, if not all of them, do have a certain level of journalistic photography. So it's pretty safe to say if they're a professional photographer that shoots weddings often, meaning at least like 10, 15 a year, that they'll be, very sufficient in journalistic style of photography. But then also photographers will have a secondary style that they specialize in, that's beyond the journalistic. And some of these are like editorial style photography, which are the types that you see in magazines that are more, highly posed. But they're definitely like more magazine worthy images. And then for us, we also have this journalistic style, but also offer more fine art and cinematic photography. And so I know that's kind of like a lot of buzzwords, but that we do heavily consider strong composition, compositional techniques. We use lights and shadows, to emphasize what we want to show in our photography. And ultimately, the style was created because we want to give photography that our couples would love to hang on their wall. Something that when they want to print, an acrylic print or a large, canvas, that this style of photography is what they would actually like to have. Hence the name, the fine art. When there's strong compositional techniques used, and also the use of light and shadow, because it's very difficult to not difficult, but it might not be ideal to hang a journalistic photo on your wall. If you can kind of imagine, like, a cake eating on your wall, or maybe perhaps, like a walking shot, which would be great. But the fine art style just makes it a little more obvious what strong art artful compositional techniques will provide when printing, either on wall art or even on your wedding albums.
And then I guess when we've been like talking mostly about what couples should consider when planning their wedding. But on the day of, a lot of couples are, camera conscious. They're not models, so they're not used to being in front of cameras. They don't take professional photos all the time. And it can be a bit intimidating, and it's a bit uncomfortable sometimes to just have that lens pointed at you. And so what are some practical things that you do to make the experience a bit easier for them and a bit more fun, especially these ones who are kind of like scared of cameras or just really camera shy?
Well, yeah, I totally understand that. You're going into your special day, all the nerves are coming in, and then a group of photographers are just pointing like big cameras at you. It's quite intimidating. So typically for me, what I like to do once I walk into a wedding, let's say it's the getting ready portion. It's early in the morning. I would like to develop a relationship with the couple that I am doing. So I would like to just tell them a little bit about myself. Ask them how are they doing. Um, you know, Spark any type of interest that they like, and if anything, what we have in common. Develop that relationship and to let them know that like I am here not just as a photographer, but I am here, kind of like your friend. And I don't want you to feel just I am only going to click, take your photos, that's it. I want to be, like a friend who has their iPhone and we're out on vacation and we're just taking photos. So that is the number one thing I would want to do. I want to get to know you, and I want you let you know that we are friends and we are going to be working a lot the whole day. So that is one thing I want to establish. Another thing that I do throughout the day is uh, going into the photojournalism. I will try to get those raw moments. And what couples really think about when it comes to photography, and when they see all of those big cameras, is they think they have to be professional, they think they have to be a model, when that's not the case at all. That doesn't have to be something that you have to practice for. You don't have to practice for any type of poses. And as for poses, that we are here for, that is our job, to um, put that hand on your hip, to put your arms around your mom, something like that. We will be there to guide you and make sure that you look good for those poses. And on top of the photojournalism, we will get all of those raw moments. I will one moment say, okay, let's have a group photo, hug into each other. Next moment, let's have the bride and the groom kiss and everyone cheers. That is a raw moment right there. And that is something that you don't really need modeling experience for. So typically I would like to just go along with that, start establish a relationship, go into telling the couple that I will be here, I will guide you through it, and this is my job, I will make you look good. And then also getting those photojournalistic raw moments for the couple and make it fun for them, because at the end I don't want it to seem just a whole Vogue editorial kind of thing. We're there to have fun, we're there to celebrate, and that is something that I want to push off to the couple. And if they can feel that through me, then I'm doing my job.
Wow, okay, that's amazing. How about you, Charles? Oh, do you have any other practical things that you like to do with couples?
Yeah, I mean, JJ did say it all. But if yeah, definitely I agree with everything she said. It is important that we make that experience at your wedding day very high priority. That you are having a good time, that you're able to enjoy yourself. It's not our day; it's your day. So we just want to a lot of us is a lot of what we do is focusing on what's important to you, and to make sure that we help you with that and not take away from that. So and how we help you feel comfortable is we speak to you like friends. It's very much a day full of love, and we want to just make sure we're taking care of you, as much as possible. get into the background so that your day can unfold naturally and not be, over fabricated. It's important to us that you love your experience, and if you love your experience, your photography will show. And so that's what we try to provide for our couples, is that friend that you can trust, that will make sure everything goes how you'd like, that your day is not compromised. And as far as being comfortable, again, we try to make it fun. The times where we're actually just shooting the couple, just the bride and the groom, we try to make fun things happen for them, so they're actually having fun moments. We'll often ask, the couple to kind of like do things they would normally do, and those bring out very true organic moments. And so it requires no modeling experience. And we do believe that the responsibility of amazing photography is on us and not the couple.
But there are some couples who are a bit resistant to the idea of, being posed, or mostly because they have not had like good instructions in the past. They were not guided in the past, so they don't have a good experience with that. What do you guys do to make it a bit to make it easier to kind of like overcome that barrier? Because this is something that I've heard a lot, like been posed in the past. It was vague, it was unhelpful, it made me feel uncomfortable. So how do you get through that?
Okay, that's a great question. And yes, I agree with you that, sometimes people can feel a bit intimidated about the idea of posing, right? Like just not being natural. And for us, we do want to be able to capture high quality photography that you'll love. Not all the time does that happen kind of naturally. And it's not to say we pose everything. That's definitely not the case. But sometimes situations can use a little help. So for example, how we help create the images that we envision but still have it feel natural and fun, is that we'll, like, for example, if I'm shooting the bride and groom, I'll ask the groom, um okay, for this photo, when I say 1 2 3, I want you to walk with your bride, kind of like you guys used to in college, like late at night. Like you guys are hanging out, and she's really tired, and you're helping her walk back home. And so when I say 1 2 3, go ahead and walk, and then go ahead and like you're helping her, walking her, back home. And 1 2 3. So we kind of give you situations where it feels like natural for you, but still the moment is real, because then he's looking at her and she's smiling, that he's helping him. I mean, that he's helping her walk back home, and the moments do happen. So we try with as much as we can with our portraits to make them feel natural and a part of who you are.
That's amazing. And I'm sure it's going to be super helpful for couples to hear that, because I feel like it's a big concern among couples, especially those who sometimes don't like how they look, or they don't feel confident. They don't feel like they like having their photos taken because of past experiences that they have had. And I do want to zero in on another question. When looking at other photographers, browsing their portfolios, looking at their work, how do you know which one is best for you, especially when you have a lot of choices?
So yeah, there's many different options out there when it comes to photographers. And when you're doing your wedding planning, there's just a bunch of portfolios that you're looking for. And what I would say is, when you're looking for a photographer, when you're looking through their work, find something that you can connect with. And what I mean by that is, when you are, going through your wedding day, you are going to be excited to share that, right? And, one of the first things I will do is, share it on social media and post it on Instagram, post it on Facebook. We're just, excited to share our day, our moments. And, another thing is like thank you cards, sending that out, sending photos with that. So I would say the connection that you have with those photos is something that you should keep in mind. And not only you should think of that in the present, which is important, but think of the future. Imagine yourself 30 years, 40 years down the line, when you're with your grandkids and you have your wedding album right in front of you. you want to have that connection that you felt 40 years ago, and you want to feel that satisfaction that you felt when you first post those photos on Instagram. You want to feel proud to show off those photos. So yeah, that connection that you have, I would say to couples is very, very important. And once you feel that, go for that.
How about you, Charles?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say for me, browsing through portfolios, I know can be overwhelming, especially seeing different photographers. I would say um, definitely choose somebody with experience. I definitely don't recommend leaving an important day to somebody who does this casually. There's with weddings, there's just so many nuances to the wedding day that although a photographer might be very good at what they do, they just might not be that great at wedding photography, and you're just not able to redo it. So first thing is I would definitely make sure that there's somebody with experience, shooting your photography, somebody who does this often and they can do it in their sleep. And then two is that when you're browsing through portfolios, I would ask this one major question, like, can I see myself and my fiance in those photos? Like, if I were to look at these photos, would I be completely satisfied and happy that if these images were mine? Like, do they shoot in venues that I typically, that I have? Would I like the style? Like, is this too close? Is this too far? Is this too much of an open shot? Like it does matter, because what they shoot is what you'll have. Okay, just want to let you know that, like, what they typically show is what they create. And so if you can actually imagine yourself in those images, you'll easily find out who's not for you. Although the images are beautiful, in certain people's portfolio, you may not feel like they're actually yours. And so for us, our couples, are often drawn to our photography because of our style, and they feel like that's where they feel like they want those types of images. Like, they can actually see themselves in our photography, and they want to have those types of images. And so we try to make it very obvious, whether on our portfolio, to see if these are images that you would like to have, and that we can actually create them for you.
This has been super helpful. I believe a lot of our listeners and watchers are going to be learning a lot from the insights that you have shared, because it's kind of different, like looking at it from a photographer's perspective, and it shed light on a lot of things about why this is how it's being done and why this is kind of like the approach. And I do have 4 questions for both of you. This is a HNL4, and this is something that we ask all of the guests that we have. The first question is, what is your favorite resource that you recommend for couples planning their wedding in Hawaii?
I'm definitely biased on this one, but on our website, HNLstudios.com, we offer a lot of resources for our couples, or even if you're not one of our couples, like, let's say you're just really early into the planning stages. I don't know how much a wedding costs. How much do caterers cost? I don't know what venues are available. We have a very large resource for couples to access for free. We show you all the best venues in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu, the Big Island. We even write a little review of the venues to kind of show a little bit of pros and cons of why you might choose particular venues over other ones. We have vendor lists. We can also recommend wedding planners that we've worked with in the past. So it's definitely a huge specialized resource that we have here in Hawaii that we offer completely for free. We also have some wedding planning guides, so definitely check that out. Also, some other great resources I feel like, our Pinterest, just to get some ideas on things that are possible, for your wedding. And then, yeah, I guess Google as well. Google does help a lot when trying to research things and looking for articles. And I don't know, like, how much people should I be inviting? How do I reduce my guest list from 150 to 100? Just little things like that. People have been getting married for a long time, and so there's a lot of resources definitely to be had.
How about you, JJ?
Well, the main resource that I would say is Instagram. And I don't know if that's the Gen Z in me, but uh, as a wedding photographer, I get a lot of wedding content and I'm not even getting married, you know? So when I'm on Instagram and I'm just scrolling through reels, going through the explore page, I get a bunch of wedding content and just there's just a bunch of ideas out there. There's lots of resources down to like venues, photographers, food, what should you do, the timeline, all of that stuff. These are typically like content I would say from people who's had experience. So these would be like past brides, past grooms, and posting about their experience, saying stuff like what I wish I knew before my wedding day, what I wish I knew before flying out to a destination wedding. Um, Instagram would be a great resource because these are the things that you will get like personal sources from, I would say, because it's coming from personal people, from actual people. And then another great thing is Pinterest if you want to go down and make a mood board and get some ideas. I'm just saying social media in general because there's just lots of things that are out there. So look under hashtags. You can put hashtag Hawaii weddings if you want to be more specific. Hashtag intimate weddings. Hashtag this and that. And there will be a bunch of things out there.
And what are some of your favorite hobbies or things that you like to do for fun?
So when I am not doing photography, when I'm not doing anything creative, I enjoy music. So I will try my best to attend as much concerts and music festivals as possible. So if I'm not behind a camera, I could be at another state, at another country, like listening to K-pop, listening to alternative rock. So yeah, that is my hobby right there. And it is an expensive hobby, but I will make
It
it work.
is.
Yeah.
Shoot for the music. As for me, I'm definitely a lot more mellow. I got two kids and awesome wife. So for fun, I love playing with my family. Hobbies, I enjoy Muay Thai, kickboxing. That's kind of been my more recent, passion, I guess, for now. Just getting in, something about hitting a punching bag or hitting a partner just relieves a lot of stress. It's just super fun. I've been doing it for a long time, actually. I would say like at least 15 years now, but just maybe like only within the last 2 years, just really kind of doing a lot more. And so that's been really fun. And I enjoy paintballing. I haven't gone in a while, but I enjoy, paintballing and yeah, just hanging out at the beach.
What do you believe is the reason that you do what you do? I guess specifically being in the wedding industry and shooting weddings.
The reason why I do what I do, which is now wedding photography mainly, is because, like I said before, I am a creative person and I don't see myself doing anything outside of that aspect. I did mention that I am back in school for marketing, but mainly I like doing marketing when it comes to the creative side, when you create, ads or like videos and stuff like that. I like doing that. And that is something that I feel like is part of my talents and I'm very, very passionate about it. And it's something that I've been doing since I was a teenager and I've adapted to. So, yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing wedding photography. I don't see myself doing anything else when it comes to not just photography, but anything that does things with arts. Um, I just want to keep doing that and keep growing into that field.
How about you, Charles?
I would say I love people. I do love people. I do, I do honor the sanctity of marriage, just the agreement, the covenant of two people to spend the rest of their lives with each other. And I do enjoy being able to document that for them, to provide something unique, special that they'll be able to receive. and for me that's very that's a big reason why I do what we do. But also because I'm kind of more into, I've been more into the training aspect lately, raising up other photographers to be able to, teach them how to shoot well and how to shoot wedding, basically better than I can. It allows me to multiply myself and to be able to have many photographers be able to create these images for people. Gratifying. Is that correct? Where fulfilling, I would say is more correct for more people to be able to be creative, to be themselves, but still provide something special for people. Life's short. There's just so many things you have time to do, and I do believe photography and film, because I also do film for HNL Studios, is time well spent. Being able to provide these things that people will cherish.
So for the last question, where can people find you guys and get a hold of you?
Yeah, so we're HNL Studios. We're both lead photographers for HNL Studios, and you can find us at www.hnlstudios.com. You can find us on Instagram as well, HNL Studios. You can find us on Pinterest, and on this podcast channel. Basically, you can click on us and find more information about us. And yeah, hope that answers your question.
Thank you so much, guys. It was great to have you here. It was great to hear from you and actually learn so much about wedding photography and just how to plan for it, how to approach it, and pretty much what to expect when working with a wedding photographer. I'm pretty sure this will shed light on a lot of questions that couples have and is going to make the process of planning for it easier for them. But before we end, do you guys have anything you want to add? Anything you want to share? I guess, Charles, is there anything you wanna share with the with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, we look forward to just helping you guys plan your wedding. HNO Studios, we put you guys first. So if there's any questions you have or any resources you need, we would love to help with that. Yeah, how about you, JJ?
Well, yeah, thank you guys for having me. It was fun doing this podcast, and yeah, I really hope that we were able to give some great information out there. It was very educational for some couples out there if they need this. So, yeah, this is great.
Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in with us and watching. And if you're looking for wedding photography, videography, and photo booth, or if you're looking for wedding resources, you can visit us at www.hnlstudios.com. And we do invite you to like, subscribe, and leave a comment just to make sure that you don't miss any future episodes. And we'll see you guys next time. Thank you, guys. Bye.